Hi, this is your host. This program was made with the support of a University Museum of Zoology. Yellowstone National Park in the winter is an incredible place to experience. We have seen some amazing footage of bison, elk, and wolves moving through deep snowdrifts. But how do these animals survive? How does life survive in such cold temperatures? Welcome to Frost and Fur, where we will be exploring the secrets of surviving the winter in Yellowstone. So let's jump right in. The average winter temperature in Yellowstone ranges from 10 degrees Fahrenheit to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about -12 Celsius to 6 Celsius. In addition to those freezing temperatures, animals in Yellowstone also need to deal with snow. Snow can bury their food, make it difficult to move around, and even freeze the water that they need to drink. So what do the animals do to survive? One of the most amazing adaptations animals have to deal with cold temperatures is fur. Now, not all animals at Yellowstone have thick coats of fur like this badger, but many of them do. And this makes sense. When animals are cold, one thing they can do is raise their body temperature. By shivering, this generates heat, but it also requires energy. Energy that would be better spent on finding more food. If you think about it, fur is basically a jacket for animals. It helps them retain their body heat without having to expend all that extra energy shivering. A thick coat of fur can be made up of two layers. An underfur that is short and soft and keeps the warm air close to the animal's body. And then there is a longer outer fur that protects the animal from the wind and the rain. Having these two layers of fur allows the animal to stay warm in a variety of conditions. Some of the animals in Yellowstone that have these types of fur coats include elk, bison, deer, coyotes, wolves, and foxes. Now, while fur helps animals keep warm, another important adaptation for surviving the winter is the amount of fat on their bodies. Take a look at this bison. Can you see how much thicker it is in the middle? All of that extra weight is fat. Now, this fat does not keep them warm, but it does help them survive. The fat that these animals have helps them go without food for a period of time. During the winter, the ground is covered with snow, which makes it difficult for animals to find food. Plants often die back and hide their heads below the snow, making them hard to find and eat. Many animals need to survive off of their fat reserves until they can find more food. The coyote is an exception because they have adapted to survive on smaller prey like rodents. They have also adapted to catch their breath through their mouths rather than their noses. This prevents heat from escaping through their noses when they breathe. Other animals have adapted to avoid the cold altogether. Amphibians and most fish cannot survive the freezing temperatures of the winter in Yellowstone, so they have adapted to slow down their metabolism and go into a state called torpor. Torpor is similar to hibernation, but it doesn't last as long. Torpor is a way for animals to lower their body temperature and save energy when the temperatures drop too low. Now, even though torpor helps animals survive the winter, it isn't always easy. Sometimes the temperatures can get so low that the water in their bodies freezes. Most amphibians and many fish have adapted to produce a natural antifreeze to prevent this from happening. This antifreeze allows them to survive the winter in Yellowstone's cold waters. Now, this is great for animals that live in the water, but what about the animals that don't? What adaptations do the birds have to deal with the winter? Birds are endotherms, which means that they generate their own body heat. Even though they generate their own heat, birds still need to take in energy to fuel that process. And that means they need to find food during the winter. Now, some birds, like the hairy woodpecker, have adapted to feed off the insects that live under the bark of trees. Other birds, like the dark-eyed junco, have adapted to feed on the ground. They feed on seeds and berries that are hidden under the snow. But not all birds are so lucky. Some birds, like the bald eagle, must travel long distances each day to find food. They often travel along the rivers in Yellowstone searching for fish. And sometimes they travel outside of the park in search of food. If the bald eagles were to stay inside the park, there simply wouldn't be enough food for them to eat. The mammals in Yellowstone have adapted to deal with the winter in different ways. Wolves have adapted to work together in groups to bring down larger prey. This allows them to eat more meat than any other predator in Yellowstone. Elk, bison, and deer have adapted to spend most of their time looking for food. This means that if they are being chased by a predator, they might not be able to run fast enough to escape. So what do? Well, these large mammals have adapted to use their horns or antlers for defense. Now, most of the time, predators will try to avoid confrontation with these large animals because of their size and their weapons. However, sometimes it's necessary. Wolves often chase bison, and sometimes they even bring down calves. But the adults are rarely taken down by wolves. We have learned about many adaptations that help animals survive the winter in Yellowstone, but there are still more. Each animal in Yellowstone has had to adapt to survive in this unique environment. And some animals have had to adapt more than others. Black bears, for example, are the most adaptable of all the bears in North America. This means they are able to survive in a wide variety of environments. They have adapted to survive on both plants and meat. They are excellent climbers, and this allows them to escape from predators and find new sources of food. These amazing animals are able to survive in Yellowstone's harsh winters and in the summer heat waves. So now you know just a few of the adaptations that help animals survive in Yellowstone. But do you want to know a secret? Humans have had to adapt to survive in Yellowstone too. Humans have adapted to explore, study, and learn from the wilderness around us. And one of the best ways we can do that is through museums. Museums allow people from all over the world to experience the natural history of Yellowstone. The specimens in museums have been collected and studied by scientists and are used to teach people about the natural world. At a University Museum of Zoology, we have specimens from many of the animals we have talked about today, including this bison skull. The bison is one of the largest mammals in North America. Its massive head and neck require a large skull to support them. This skull was likely shed during the summer months when the bison is molting its hair. Specimen use is an important part of our mission here at the museum. Not only do we use specimens to educate visitors to our museum, but we also use them to further research in the field of zoology. For example, this bison jaw contains the teeth that the animal uses to eat. By studying the teeth of the bison, we can determine what the bison likely ate. We can also compare the teeth to other animals in our collection to see how they are similar or different, and that helps us better understand the relationships between living things. You may be wondering how we obtained this bison skull. Well, it came from a roadkill that was reported to us by a member of the public. We keep a 24-hour hotline for people to call when they see something like this. We ask for a skull because they preserve well and tell us a lot about an animal. They also require very little space compared to preserving an entire skeleton. Once we receive a skull, we clean and catalog it. Then it goes into storage until we can use it for teaching or research. Speaking of teaching and research, did you know that we offer classes here at the museum? We offer classes for all ages and skill levels. We have classes that focus on teaching people how to draw, paint, and sketch different animals. We also offer classes that focus on teaching people how to prepare specimens for study. And some of our classes even focus on teaching people about the natural history of Yellowstone. Our classes are taught by staff and faculty from a University Museum of Zoology. Our instructors are passionate about sharing their knowledge with others and helping people discover the wonders of the natural world. I hope you enjoyed learning about the adaptations that help animals survive in Yellowstone National Park. I would also like to thank the University Museum of Zoology for supporting this educational video. If you would like to support our channel in the production of future videos, please consider making a donation. Until next time, remember to stay curious.